So do you really need a professional horn in order to sound like a pro? Well, that was the question asked by Martin this week, and I wanted to talk about that in this video for you today. Hi, I'm Donna Schwartz from DonnaSchwartzMusic.com, the site to bring your saxophone playing up to the next level. Here's Martin's full question. He writes, what are the reasons for upgrading to a professional horn? Is there a point where your technique can't get any better on a student model, so you'll need to get a pro horn? I'm considering my next purchase, and seeing as I play for a few hours every day, is it worth skipping the intermediate market and heading for something considered professional? Is it standard to do that, to skip the intermediate? Is it even necessary to have a pro model to play like a pro? Is a situation similar to guitars, whereby the playing feel of a relatively inexpensive guitar can be top-notch with the correct adjustment? Okay. He also says, I don't have anywhere close by that stocks high-end horns, so my chance to head out and try doesn't exist. That's a really tough situation right there, because the fact of the matter is, think about it. So when you buy a car, you try it out, right? You don't necessarily buy the car without giving it a test drive, all right? So that's something to think about. And you're spending thousands of dollars. You're investing in a horn. You want to be able to try it out and make sure it works for you, because you know what? Not every mouthpiece reed combination works for every horn. So that's another thing to think about too. So let's tackle this question here. The big part of this is, do you really need a professional horn in order to sound like a professional? No, you don't. That's the short answer. How you sound comes from a variety of things. Your horn is what makes your playing efficient. It makes your playing efficient both in getting your tone, but also with how good the key work feels and how you can build your technique. Professional horns should be made with better quality materials, and the key work should be really good and it should flow for you. But you know what? Honestly, there's a lot of incredibly good student model horns out there where the key work feels really good and the horn is a good quality brand. Okay. In fact, I started this off playing the Yamaha YAS 23. Now mine's made in Japan. I got this in 1996, brand new. And these horns are still revered. In fact, one of my earlier students today said she had gone to this music museum in the Phoenix area, and this horn was in that museum. Not mine in particular, the model. Okay, so you're going to sound like you. All right, regardless of what stuff you're playing, you're just going to sound like you. So if you're listening to music that doesn't have saxophone players in it, and you're not getting enough of that information up here, well, that's going to come out in your playing. All right, you're not going to have that, base knowledge, that foundation, in order to develop your sound and sound more professional, so to speak. But if you're doing a lot of listening and you know what you want to sound like, and you listen to whole bunches of people and you get bits and pieces from each person that you listen to, you're going to develop your own sound regardless of what equipment you're playing. Again, you're looking for efficiency when you're buying equipment, whether it's mouthpieces or horns, okay, or even ligatures at this point. So that's the first thing I want to say about that. A student horn is not going to make you sound like a student. You will, and it's the lack of experience. Okay, that being said, like I mentioned, this is a YAS 23. I think these are probably some of the best student horns that were ever made. Really, this horn is so durable. Now, did I use this out on gigs? I probably use it on outdoor gigs and stuff like that. I do have a Mark VI that I really like, but I use this when I teach, and I use this when I travel. And this thing is really durable. Man, I've used this, like I said, since 1996. I think it's really great. Yamahas are known for their impeccable intonation. I think the key work is very comfortable. I particularly liked the octave key. It's larger, so you can't miss. As opposed to some horns where the octave key is like way off over there, and it's a little bit hard, especially if your hands are smaller. So I think these are really great horns, and all the Yamaha horns are made really, really well. I know some guys that actually do go out and gig on these horns, not just outdoor gigs, but they actually gig on these YAS 23s, or the tenor equivalent is the YTS 23. So they're perfectly fine for that. That being said, there are some student model horns that are not made as well. Some of them are from no-name brands. Some of them could be from well-known brands, but that particular, student model is just not made as well. So how do you know? How can you tell? Well, the best situation, and unfortunately for Martin, for professional horns, he can't do this, but is to try them out. The next best thing you can do is to talk to people. Now, I'm going to make another suggestion here too. What you do need to do is make sure that you find a good repair person that you trust. And I don't mean a repair person that just works on school instruments. If you have aspirations for playing professionally, you need to go to a repair person that works on professionals' horns. Okay, super important. Professionals have different needs than students. Students, most of them could care less. Students do some strange things to instruments, okay? And God bless those school repair people, because the stuff that they see and that they fix, I don't know how they do it, okay? It's really crazy. But professionals, they're going to take better care of their horn, but there's certain things that they're looking for, certain needs that we have when we're playing that, everything just has to work, okay? So first thing you need to do is find a trusted, good repair person, and that's through talking to a lot of people and find out who the pros use in your area or within driving distance. One guy I was just speaking to drives 3 hours to go to a repair person that he trusts. And you know what? At this point, I don't blame him, because since I moved from New York to LA, I've driven long distances, for good repair people. So you need to do that, without a doubt. Now, there's so many models of horns, brands of horns nowadays. I mean, it's like endless. And what I may say may be like the best student horn, you may not agree with, and that's perfectly fine. It's great that we have all these choices, but definitely talk to a lot of people. Join forums, join Sax on the web. If you're on Facebook, join those saxophone forums, ask people, find people that are in your area, ask them questions. If you see shows, local shows or whatever, talk to the saxophone player afterwards. Of course, do not ask them to try their horn out. If someone asked me that, I would say no, because that's kind of rude, and I wouldn't let a stranger try out my horn. But you ask them about their experiences. What kind of horns have they used? What's their setup right now? What do they like about it? What do they not like about it? That's really key. How often do they bring their horn in for repair? Is it because maybe there's a couple of dings, dents here and there? Or is it because there's always a problem? Are the pads a problem? The thing too you want to consider as well, what makes the horn sound good are the type of pads. If the pads are, not good quality, it's going to affect how you sound. If the pads are not put in properly, that will really affect your sound as well. There's a lot of things to consider. If the key work feels clunky, that's another problem as well, too. The springs may be off or whatever. So talk to a lot of people if you don't have that opportunity to try out professional horns. Now, here's the other thing I'm going to suggest as well. I know for me, I bought all my Mark 6s from eBay. Never had a problem because I knew what I was looking for, all right? But you may not know what you're looking for. I wouldn't suggest buying off of eBay. There are saxophone groups on Facebook that are specifically for buying instruments. And there's accountability in there. If someone makes a bad purchase or something like that, the other people in the group kind of, they know who the good sellers are, whatever. They keep people accountable. But the other thing I was going to say is this. If you do have to buy off of eBay, try to buy off of a store. Like Woodwind and Brasswind may have some used horns for sale. They're going to have a return policy. Some other local stores, Sax Quest, other places may put up their used horns on eBay. I would trust that. I definitely would. And they have refund policies as well. So that's super important too. Another one of Martin's questions was, should I skip the intermediate model and just go from student to professional? I actually agree with that. And let me tell you why I agree with that. It goes down to this question. What's the purpose of your playing? Is the purpose of your playing for your own enjoyment? I would say stick with the student model horn. You'll get a lot of mileage out of that, especially if you get a good model, good brand horn. Is the purpose of your playing to eventually, let's say, get into college, get into music school? You need to get a pro horn. Is the purpose of your playing to play gigs, to play professionally? I would say skip the intermediate model. I would make the investment and get a professional horn. Is your goal to be like a weekend warrior where you're playing paid gigs every once in a while? You have a choice there because you could get a lot of mileage out of a student horn and sound just as fine. Remember, your sound comes from here, your tonal concept, all right, and how much you've worked on yourself. So you could do that. Is your purpose for playing in a community band, community big band, church? You have choices there too. Okay, you can play student horns, get away with that, and you may want to eventually get professional model horns. Okay, again, that choice is up to you. But if you do want to play in front of the public regularly, it would be worth the investment. And I got to tell you, I used to say that, you have to play a Mark 6. You're not a professional unless you're playing a Mark 6. And that was really, that wasn't smart. That wasn't good advice. Fact of the matter is that nowadays, and I used to say that like 20 years ago, but nowadays things have totally changed. And there's a lot of great horns out there and great horns that are reasonably priced. I do have Mark 6s, alto and tenor, and my soprano's not though. My soprano's a Yamaha professional model. But I recently purchased a Trevor James custom raw signature horn, custom signature raw horn, and I love it. In fact, I like it just about as much as, if not more than my tenor Mark 6 that I've been playing for a very long time. And I really enjoy playing it, and it's made well, and it's very reasonably priced. So it's another thing to think about. Now, what you can do after talking to a lot of people, if you can't try out the horns, call up the manufacturer. Like in this case, you can call up, Trevor James Company and speak to one of their representatives. Tell them your situation. They may have a return policy. All right, something to think about. Tell them what your playing needs are, how often you're playing, how long have you been playing, what types of things you're playing, and they'll help you out because they do want it to make you a customer and make their customers happy. So that's what I would suggest for that. The thing Martin also alludes to, if you get a student horn, could there just be made some adjustments to that so that, it'll sound like a professional horn? Look, you can get stuff like buzz screws, you can get the Klangbogen by Reed Geek. That will open up the sound. In fact, professional horns, a lot of people that play professional horns put those things on there. Those types of things will certainly help. But again, I'm just going to go back to you make your own sound. Okay, your tonal concept is what guides you. But think of the equipment as something that's going to make your playing more efficient. It won't make you sound like a pro. It'll just help you play more efficiently, meaning that your tone, it'll be easier to produce a tone and it'll help you to be more consistent. The other thing that equipment will also do, and this is something that, will definitely be a key factor, a pun intended on the word key, but it has to do with the keys. The key work has to feel really good. You may find that the professional horns, the key work does feel better. That's a very good reason for upgrading. Okay, there may be a stark difference between the student and the professional, and even the intermediate and the professional. Then I would say make the investment. But I've got to say, this YAS 23, the key work on this is really good. And I think it's consistent with the professional models as well. I really do. So you do have some choices there. But hopefully, some of the insights that I'm giving you will help you with regard to, do you need to go pro with your buying a horn? And just, do some reflection, make sure you find a good repair person because you're going to need that. Ask them for their advice. Ask them, what kind of horns come in here quite often for what kind of things, what's going on with them. Talk to people, use some of the forums that you see in Facebook. Join Sax on the Web. Great forum on there that's not from Facebook. They have their own thing. Talk to people and talk to repair people that are on those forums and see what they say. Because I recommend this, but other people recommend other things. And that's perfectly fine. And that's great, actually, because we have choices. Imagine if we didn't have choices. Okay, so hopefully this video answered Martin's question and answered your question. And if you want to improve your tone, well, I've got a free video for you. 3 tips to fatten up your saxophone tone so that you can fill up a room, all right? Thousands of people have used this video and it has helped them. So definitely click the button above, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more updates and to be the first one to know when new videos come out, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, have a great day.